The Grand Canyon is a premium tourist destination that has been drawing people in for over a century. It's estimated that around 5.9 million people visit the national park every year, which means it's the second most popular national park, trailing behind the Great Smoky Mountains. As far as locations go, it's one of the most recognizable destinations on the planet. What is it about this place that brings in so many people to explore it? Part of it is the sheer size. The whole place is completely awe-inspiring. That aside, there is much to discover about the Grand Canyon, as there has only been so much time, access, and resources to find out all the secrets it holds. As you stand on the edge of this vast chasm, peering into its depths, it's easy to let your imagination run wild. But what if we told you that the US government has closed off about 90% of this amazing wonder of nature to protect a 1,000-year-old secret? While this area is off-limits to humans, a drone has just captured something no one was supposed to see in the heart of the Grand Canyon, and these shocking discoveries will change how we look at history forever. Buckle up, because we're about to dive into the eerie and enthralling world of paranormal theories about the Grand Canyon. As the sun beats down on the Grand Canyon, with the sound of the Colorado River in the distance, there is a hidden treasure that lies deep within the heart of the canyon. It is a cavern, known only to a select few, far from the well-trodden paths of tourists and hikers. Its existence has been whispered about for generations, and it is one of the most mysterious and enigmatic places in the world. The cavern is a vast subterranean expanse, shrouded in secrecy and veiled in mystery. The entrance to the cavern is concealed by layers of rock, and the labyrinthine maze of canyons that surround it make it almost impossible to find. Its location is known to only a handful of individuals who have dedicated their lives to the exploration of the Grand Canyon's secrets. These intrepid adventurers, archaeologists, and seekers of the unknown believe that the cavern holds the answers to questions that have confounded humanity for centuries. For as long as anyone can remember, tales have circulated about the cavern's strange aura, its inexplicable pull on those who venture close, and the uncanny sense of timelessness that permeates its depths. It is as though the cavern exists outside the constraints of the everyday world, a portal to a realm untouched by the passage of time. The cavern is said to be one of the most mysterious and awe-inspiring places in the world, with its vast underground lakes, glittering crystal formations, and hidden passageways that lead to unknown depths. Despite the danger and uncertainty that surrounds the cavern, there are those who are drawn to it, compelled by its mysterious allure. They brave the treacherous journey through the canyon's rugged terrain, risking their lives to unlock the secrets that lie hidden within its depths. For those who are brave enough to explore it, the cavern offers a glimpse into a world that few have ever seen, a world of wonder, mystery, and adventure. Imagine stumbling upon a secret doorway in the canyon walls, leading to an underground city built by an ancient, forgotten civilization. Sounds like a plot straight out of an Indiana Jones movie, right? Well, some believe it's more than just fiction. There are various stories of the Native American Indians for many centuries that speak of an ancient, hidden city of gold within the Grand Canyon. And in fact, there are gold deposits in the Grand Canyon. The known gold deposits there are hiding among the silt and gravel in the Colorado River. But no mining of any type, nor panning, is allowed with that national park. Besides the legendary city having large gold deposits, there are also many Native American Indian artifacts of silver and copper. Some weapons, highly decorated clay and ceramic pottery, and beautiful jewelry with lots of turquoise. All of these things are contained in a secret man-made cave with long passageways to further secret rooms. The entrance to the cave is hidden. Some ancient man-made caves for protection. Security within the Grand Canyon are known to explorers. This secret city cave is located near many other caves close to the Colorado River. There are also stories of mummies within the secret cave. And the ancient American Indians, if hot climate stares, did have mummies of their dead. We will talk about mummies more later on. Human habitation of the Grand Canyon, with documented evidence, goes back 10,500 years. During the last 4,000 years, the first people of the Grand Canyon were the Anasazi. Later on, the Kohonina tribe lived there as neighbors to the Anasazi. However, by the late 13th century, both tribes moved away, probably because of drought. For about a century, the territory was uninhabited by humans. Then, the Paiute came in. At least 800 years ago, the Havasupai tribe moved in. Sometime in the 15th century, the Navajo or the Dine arrived there. The Pueblo people considered the Grand Canyon, Ongtupga in Hopi language, a holy site and made pilgrimages thereto. The Indian tribes living today in the Grand Canyon vicinity are the Havasupai, Hualapai, Navajo, and Hopi. The first known Europeans to explore the Grand Canyon were back in September of 1540, when Hopi Indian guides led a group of 13 Spanish soldiers under Captain Garcia Lopez de Cardenas to discover the fabled 7 cities of gold for his superior officer, the conquistador Francisco Vasquez de Coronado. The Indian tribes kept secret from the Spaniards the city of gold located in the canyon. While inside the Grand Canyon, the entourage descended a third of the way down, saw a river, but had to turn back for lack of water. The next group of Spanish explorers and conquerors would arrive in the canyon in 1776, when Spanish soldiers and 2 Roman Catholic Christian priests were searching for a route from Santa Fe, New Mexico, to Monterey, California. In the 1800s and 1900s, the Indian tribes dealt with more white men trying to find all the gold they can in the canyon. In March and April of 1909, the Arizona Gazette ran a tantalizing story about an explorer named G.E. Kincaid, who led an archaeological expedition in the heart of the Grand Canyon funded by the Smithsonian Institute, which had resulted in the discovery of a secret, hidden city built by an ancient, forgotten civilization. Mr. Kincaid was the first white child born in Idaho and has been an explorer and hunter all his life. 30 years having been in the service of the Smithsonian Institute. Even briefly recounted, his history sounds fabulous. According to the article, Kincaid discovered a great underground citadel of the Grand Canyon during a trip from Green River, Wyoming, down the Colorado in a wooden boat to Yuma several years ago.
First, I would impress that the cavern is almost inaccessible. The entrance is almost 1,486 feet down a sheer canyon wall. It is located on government land, and no visitor will be allowed there under penalty of trespass. The scientists wish to work unmolested, without fear of the archaeological discoveries being disturbed by curio or relic hunters. A trip there would be fruitless, and the visitor would be sent on his way. The story of how I found the cavern has already been recounted, but in a paragraph. I was journeying down the Colorado River in a boat, alone, looking for mineral. Some 42 miles up the river from El Tova Crystal Canyon, I saw on the east wall stains in the sedimentary formation about 2,000 feet above the riverbed. There was no trail to this point, but I finally reached it with great difficulty. Above a shelf, which hid it from view of the river, was the mouth of the cave. There are steps leading from this entrance some 30 yards from what was at the time the cavern was inhabited, the level of the river. When I saw the chisel marks on the wall inside the entrance, I became interested, secured my gun, and went in. During that trip, I went back several hundred feet along the main passage till I came to the main crypt in which I discovered the mummies. One of these I stood up and photographed by flashlight. I gathered a number of relics, which I carried down the Colorado to Yuma, from whence I shipped them to Washington with details of the discovery. Following this, the explorations were undertaken.
The picture of a hidden city of gold within the Grand Canyon becomes clearer with each telling of Kincaid. According to Kincaid, the main passageway is about 12 feet wide, narrowing to 9 feet toward the farther end. About 57 feet from the entrance, the first side passages branch off to the right and left, along which, on both sides, are a number of rooms about the size of ordinary living rooms of today. These are entered by oval-shaped doors and are ventilated by round air spaces through the walls into the passages. The walls are about 3 feet 6 inches in thickness. The passages are chiseled or hewn as straight as could be laid out by an engineer. The ceilings of many of the rooms converge to a center. The side passages near the entrance run at a sharp angle from the main hall, but toward the rear they gradually reach a right angle in direction. Over 100 feet from the entrance is the cross hall, several hundred feet long, in which are found the idol or image of the people's god, sitting cross-legged with a lotus flower or lily in each hand. The cast of the face is oriental, and the carving this cavern. The idol almost resembles Buddha, though the scientists are not certain as to what religious worship it represents. Taking into consideration everything found thus far, it is possible that this worship most resembles the ancient people of Tibet. Surrounding this idol are smaller images, some very beautiful in form, others crooked-necked and distorted shapes, symbolical probably of good and evil. There are 2 large cactus with protruding arms, one on each side of the dais on which the god squats. All this is carved out of hard rock resembling marble. Kincaid also stated that he had found an unknown gray metal, resembling platinum, as well as tiny carved heads, scattered on the floor. And among the other finds are vases or urns and cups of copper and gold, made very artistic in design. The pottery work includes enameled ware and glazed vessels. Another passageway leads to granaries such as are found in the Oriental temples. They contain seeds of various kinds. One very large storehouse has not yet been entered, as it is 12 feet high and can be reached only from above. 2 copper hooks extend on the edge, which indicates that some sort of ladder was attached. These granaries are rounded, as the materials of which they are constructed may be of very hard cement. A gray metal is also found in this cavern, which puzzles the scientists, for its identity has not been established. It resembles platinum. Strewn promiscuously over the floor everywhere are what people call cat's eyes, a yellow stone of no great value. Each one is engraved with the head of the Malay type. In another room, Kincaid found mummies. In the words of Kincaid, the tomb or crypt in which the mummies are found is one of the largest of the chambers, the walls slanting back at an angle of about 35 degrees. These are tiers of mummies, each one occupying a separate hewn shelf. At the head of each is a small bench on which is found copper cups and pieces of broken swords. Some of the mummies are covered with clay and all are wrapped in a bark fabric. The urns or cups on the lower tiers are crude, while as the higher shelves are reached, the urns are finer in design, showing an interstage of civilization. What's more notable on all the urns, or walls over doorways and tablets of stone, which were found by the image, are the mysterious hieroglyphics, the key to which the Smithsonian Institute hopes yet to discover. The engraving on the tables probably has something to do with the religion of the people. Similar hieroglyphics have been found in southern Arizona. Among the pictorial writings, only 2 animals are found. One is of prehistoric type.
The whole underground installation gives one of shaky nerves the creeps. The gloom is like a weight on one's shoulders, and our flashlights and candles only make the darkness blacker. Imagination can revel in conjectures and ungodly daydreams back through the ages that have elapsed till the mind reels dizzily in space.
The story gets weirder when the Smithsonian stated that it had no Kincaid on record. In one inquiry from 2000, the institution replied, "The Smithsonian Institution has received many questions about an article in the April 5, 1909 Phoenix Gazette about G.E. Kincaid and his discovery of a great underground citadel in the Grand Canyon, hewn by an ancient race of Oriental origin, possibly from Egypt." The Smithsonian's Department of Anthropology has searched its files without finding any mention of a Professor Jordan, Kincaid, or a lost Egyptian civilization in Arizona. Nevertheless, The story continues to be repeated in books and articles. Of course, there is room for a cover-up, as some have argued. The files do not necessarily have to set within that department's, and the reference to the Phoenix Gazette, rather than Arizona Gazette, could be a simple error, or an escape valve that is so often present in official replies engineered to debunk. Stories like the CIA Division X has no record often means that Division Y is the one who has that record. So while no solid evidence has surfaced to support Kincaid's claims, and many dismiss the story as a hoax, the legend of hidden civilizations continues to capture the imagination of many. As if ancient cities weren't enough, the Grand Canyon is also a hotspot for supernatural sightings and UFO encounters. Picture this: a serene night under the stars, the canyon walls silhouetted against the sky. Suddenly, strange orbs of light appear, darting and weaving in impossible patterns. Sounds like the perfect setting for a UFO sighting, doesn't it? There have been numerous reports of mysterious lights in the sky over the Grand Canyon. Some describe them as glowing orbs, others as erratic streaks of light. Could these be visitors from another world? Or perhaps secret military experiments? The truth remains elusive, but the sightings persist, adding another layer of mystery to the canyon's lore. If you ever find yourself at Phantom Ranch, the historic lodge nestled at the bottom of the Grand Canyon, don't be surprised if you hear footsteps in the dead of night, or catch a glimpse of a ghostly figure out of the corner of your eye. Phantom Ranch is rumored to be haunted by the spirits of past visitors and workers who met untimely ends in the canyon's treacherous terrain. But the ghostly tales don't stop there. The Havasupai tribe, whose ancestors have lived in the canyon for centuries, believe the area is sacred and inhabited by spirits. According to their legends, the canyon is protected by ancestral beings and otherworldly guardians. So, if you feel an inexplicable chill or sense a presence watching you as you hike the trails, you might just be encountering one of these ancient spirits. Now, let's get really wild. Some paranormal enthusiasts believe that the Grand Canyon is home to interdimensional portals or energy vortexes. Imagine standing at a certain spot in the canyon and feeling a strange energy pulse through you, like you're on the brink of another dimension. These theories suggest that certain locations within the Grand Canyon could be gateways to other worlds or dimensions. Similar to the famous vortexes in Sedona, Arizona, these energy points are said to have the power to alter human consciousness and provide glimpses into parallel realities. It's the stuff of science fiction, but for some, the feeling is all too real. After all, whether you're a skeptic or a believer, there's no denying that the Grand Canyon is a place of wonder and intrigue. Its staggering beauty is matched only by the depth of its mysteries. From ancient lost cities to spectral apparitions and interdimensional portals, the canyon continues to inspire stories that blur the line between reality and the supernatural. So, next time you find yourself gazing into the vast expanse of the Grand Canyon, take a moment to ponder the mysteries that lie hidden within its depths. Who knows? Perhaps you might just catch a glimpse of something truly otherworldly. On the other hand, note that besides the mystery of a hidden city, the Grand Canyon still holds some surprises. Here are a few facts about the Grand Canyon you probably don't know. For instance, we don't really know how old it is. The Grand Canyon, as we know, is a vast geological structure that stretches 277 miles, or 446 kilometers, across northern Arizona, and reaches depths of over a mile, 1.6 kilometers. Its formation involves a multitude of geological processes, including volcanic activity, tectonic shifts, and, most prominently, erosion by the Colorado River. The challenge in determining its age stems from these overlapping and sometimes episodic events, each contributing to the canyon's current form over different timescales. One major factor complicating the dating of the Grand Canyon is the different layers of rock that make up its walls. These layers, which span nearly 2 billion years of Earth's history, have been deposited, uplifted, and eroded at different times. The oldest rocks at the bottom, known as the Vishnu Basement Rocks, are around 1.8 billion years old. However, the canyon itself is not that old. It is the erosion of these rocks by the Colorado River that created the canyon. Dating the canyon's formation involves understanding when the Colorado River began cutting through these ancient rocks. Traditional estimates, based on the ages of the canyon's rock layers and the rate of erosion, suggested that the Grand Canyon is around 5 to 6 million years old. This timeline aligns with the uplift of the Colorado Plateau, which would have redirected the river to carve out the canyon. However, more recent studies have introduced conflicting evidence that suggests parts of the canyon could be much older. Some geologists argue that the canyon's formation could have begun as far back as 70 million years ago, during the late Cretaceous period. This hypothesis is based on thermochronology, a technique that measures the thermal history of rocks to infer erosion rates and landscape evolution over time. According to these studies, ancient rivers may have started carving sections of what would become the Grand Canyon long before the modern Colorado River existed. The debate is further complicated by the canyon's segmented erosion history. Different parts of the Grand Canyon might have formed at different times and were later connected by the Colorado River's flow. This segmented formation suggests that while some parts of the canyon are relatively young, others might be remnants of ancient landscapes. Another challenge in dating the Grand Canyon is the dynamic nature of the Colorado River itself. The river's course has changed multiple times due to tectonic activity, volcanic eruptions, and climate variations. These changes could have accelerated or slowed the erosion process at various times, adding layers of complexity to the canyon's history. In conclusion, the age of the Grand Canyon remains elusive due to the interplay of multiple geological processes over vast timescales, the segmented nature of its formation, and the evolving course of the Colorado River. While traditional estimates suggest a relatively young canyon, new techniques and evidence indicate that parts of it could be much older. The Grand Canyon's history is a testament to the dynamic and ever-changing nature of Earth's surface, and understanding its full story requires piecing together evidence from a wide range of geological disciplines. A unique feature, the Grand Canyon, with its immense size and unique topography, has the fascinating ability to create its own weather. This phenomenon is a result of its vast depth and the significant variations in elevation within the canyon, which affect temperature, humidity, and atmospheric pressure in ways that differ from the surrounding region. One of the most notable ways the Grand Canyon influences its own weather is through temperature variations. The temperature can differ dramatically between the rim and the bottom of the canyon. During the summer, the canyon floor can be much hotter than the rim. Conversely, in winter, the canyon floor can be relatively mild compared to the freezing temperatures at the rim. These temperature differences are primarily due to the elevation change. The south rim is about 7,000 feet above sea level, while the bottom of the canyon near the Colorado River is about 2,400 feet above sea level. The Grand Canyon also experiences temperature inversions, especially during the winter months. A temperature inversion occurs when the air near the ground is cooler than the air above it, which is the opposite of the usual temperature gradient in the atmosphere. This can trap cold air and fog within the canyon, creating a dense layer of fog that can persist for days. These inversions are particularly striking when viewed from the rim, as the fog can fill the canyon while the surrounding higher elevations remain clear. The diverse range of elevations within the Grand Canyon leads to the formation of microclimates. Different areas of the canyon can have distinct weather conditions at the same time. For example, the North Rim, which is higher in elevation than the South Rim, generally receives more precipitation and has cooler temperatures. Meanwhile, the Inner Canyon, with its lower elevation and desert-like environment, remains much drier and hotter. These microclimates support a variety of plant and animal life, adapted to the specific conditions found at different elevations and locations within the canyon. Wind patterns in the Grand Canyon are also influenced by its topography. As the air heats up during the day, it rises and creates updrafts along the canyon walls. This can lead to strong and gusty winds, particularly in the afternoon. At night, the opposite occurs. The air cools and descends, creating downdrafts. These wind patterns are further affected by the canyon's orientation and shape, leading to localized winds that can be quite different from those experienced on the surrounding plateau. The Grand Canyon's topography also affects precipitation. The steep walls and varying elevations can influence where and how much rain or snow falls. For instance, the North Rim receives more precipitation than the South Rim, largely due to its higher elevation and its position relative to prevailing wind patterns. Additionally, the Inner Canyon, being lower and more shielded, tends to receive less precipitation. In summary, the Grand Canyon's unique ability to create its own weather is a fascinating interplay of its vast depth, varying elevations, and complex topography. These factors lead to significant temperature variations, microclimates, wind patterns, and precipitation differences, making the Grand Canyon a dynamic and ever-changing environment. This localized weather phenomenon not only adds to the canyon's natural beauty, but also plays a crucial role in shaping its ecosystem and geological features. In addition, the Grand Canyon might look like the perfect place to go looking for dinosaur bones, but none have ever been found there, and for good reason. The rock that makes up the canyon walls is vastly more ancient than the dinosaurs, about 1 billion years more ancient in some cases, but the canyon itself probably didn't form until after the dinosaurs were long gone. While the dinosaurs might have missed out on seeing the Grand Canyon, lots of other fossils have been found that suggest other creatures frequented the location. They range from ancient marine fossils dating back 1.2 billion years to fairly recent land mammals that left their remains in canyon caves about 10,000 years ago. And prior to modern flood control measures, the Colorado River provided a uniquely difficult habitat for fish, with heavy silt, frequent floods, and temperatures ranging from extreme heat in summer to sub-freezing in winter. As a result, only 8 fish species are native to the Grand Canyon, 6 of which are found nowhere outside of the Colorado River. Lists of Grand Canyon facts don't often include information about its human population, but surprisingly, it does have one. Supai Village is located at the base of the Grand Canyon within the Havasupai Indian Reservation. Inaccessible by road and with a population of just 208, it is the most remote community in the lower 48 states and is the only place where mail is still delivered by pack mule. While many secrets remain, a mystery lies deep within the Grand Canyon. 1 billion years worth of rocks have disappeared. This great unconformity has rocked the scientific community since it was first described almost 150 years ago. As Barra Peak, a geologist from the University of Colorado Boulder, said in a statement, "Think of the red bluffs and cliffs of the Grand Canyon as Earth's history textbook. If you scale down the canyon's rock faces, you can jump back almost 2 billion years into the planet's past. But that textbook is also missing pages. In some areas, more than 1 billion years worth of rocks have disappeared from the Grand Canyon without a trace." In a new study, researchers led by Peak identify a likely cause for the missing rocks: the breakup of Earth's ancient supercontinent Rodinia approximately 700 million years ago. The upheaval was so violent, it likely washed rocks and sediment into the ocean, 1 billion years worth in the case of the Grand Canyon. The Great Unconformity was first described by John Wesley Powell during a boat expedition in 1869 along the Colorado River, which carved Arizona's Grand Canyon. It was one of the first well-documented puzzling geologic features in North America, according to researchers. Peak and her team completed an expedition like Powell's in spring 2021 and were greeted with the same stark boundary between Grand Canyon rock layers, which could be seen from the river. At particular sites along the canyon, 1.4 to 1.8 billion-year-old rocks are found lying beneath much younger 520 million-year-old rocks. According to Peak, there are beautiful lines. At the bottom, you can see very clearly that there are rocks that have been pushed together. Their layers are vertical. Then there's a cutoff, and above that, you have these beautiful horizontal layers that form the buttes and peaks that you associate with the Grand Canyon. Peak and her team used a method called thermochronology to track the history of rock heating in order to peer deep into the geological history of the Grand Canyon. When rocks are buried deep underground, the immense pressure building on top of them causes the rocks to heat up. This toasting, in turn, leaves a chemical footprint of minerals behind in the rock that reveal clues about the history of the heating. Peak and her team analyzed samples of rocks throughout the Grand Canyon and discovered the history of the Great Unconformity may be more complicated than first assumed. The researchers suggest that the eastern and western halves of the canyon may have undergone different geological contortions throughout time. "It's not a single block with the same temperature history," said Peak. According to the researchers, a series of small faulting events occurred when Rhodonia, the supercontinent that preceded the more famous Pangaea, broke apart approximately 700 million years ago. The violent faulting likely tore up land around the canyon, causing rocks and sediment to wash away into the ocean. Whilst basement rock in the western half of the Grand Canyon seems to have risen to the surface roughly 700 million years ago, the same stone in the eastern half is buried under kilometers of sediment. The researchers suggest that the upheaval may have torn at the eastern and western halves of the Grand Canyon in different ways and at slightly different times, creating the Great Unconformity in the process. The team's findings are helping piece together what happened during this critical period for the Grand Canyon, as well as other North American sites that have experienced similar periods of lost time. As study co-author Rebecca Flowers, also a geologist from the University of Colorado, Boulder concluded, "We have new analytical methods in our lab that allow us to decipher the history in the missing window of time across the Great Unconformity. We are doing this in the Grand Canyon and at other Great Unconformity localities across North America." That's all the information that we have for you today. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell so you never miss out on future episodes. And be sure to also tell us what you think about today's content. Everyone's support motivates us to continue delivering quality content and to always improve. As always, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.